Yeah, I know. It was just something I was noticing when I was trying to do an analysis of the collapse. Because when I'm looking at the collapse here, you have the main structure underneath. And you see it's got angular momentum here, moving along. Hiya, Coys. How you doing, mate? And we got angular momentum continuing. On that outside edge of the building here. Moves to there. Still has angular momentum. But then, within the next few frames, it loses all angular momentum and starts to do a straight down collapse. Right here. Right between there and there. You can see how the motion changes right there. Put a little point. I'll do a little circle shape, I think, right here. It starts to drop straight down now. That means the whole body below has taken away all the angular momentum at that point, and that's when the structure was taken out. You can see it drops straight down. We'll go to image 8 there. Put in another tracking circle here. On to image 9, and you can see how it just collapses straight down at this point. So let's progress through the collapse. This is where the collapse starts to initiate. Right here. Got angular momentum. Angular momentum. And now all angular momentum is lost. Completely lost. And that is within 1/100th of a second. Right at that point. So let's go through one more time, try and speed it up a bit. Collapse starts. So is everybody going to help out on some of the sun tracking tomorrow? I think it's tomorrow, is it? Is it tomorrow or the next day? Saturday. Saturday, sorry. I guess I better get some sleep, prepare for it. Might be another long night. Let me add another one. Let me add another image. Let's progress down the collapse a little bit. Down there we go. South tower collapse. Let's see if we can find the top of the building in here. There, that's a little more progress down, I think. Let's open that one up. Let's see where that one sits in the scheme of things. No, that's a little higher up. That's a there you can see exactly where that corner drops from. That's the corner of the building there. Oh, that's cool, guys. The children will love it. The children will love it. Get to learn something new. Let's put the corner of the building in there. Put a thin line. Go like that. Oh. Corner of the building right there. That's the top edge of the building. And that's going to just drop. So that one will progress back up. Let's go. It's coming down like that. That's where the edge of the building is. So image 10's a little further up, but we can track the edge of the building to that point. So we'll put image 8 up. Let's turn off 10. Turn off 9. 8. No. 7. 7 just changes. You can see exactly where all angular momentum is lost right there. Move straight down. Right. Yeah, I believe that. They stopped that when they do stop it. Kids kids are aware of things and they don't like that. Yeah, you can just see how, I'll do another real fine line. You can see how it drops straight down. There's It's the top edge of the building. And that image will just drop straight. Put that one back up. Right there. Absolutely lost all angular momentum right there in one go. And that could not possibly happen. And it could not possibly happen without taking out this structure down here. Let's do another line. Right there. As soon as that disappears, the building comes straight down. So we'll go back through. Turn that off. Go through. So there. Angular momentum. Now she drops straight down. Right there. That's when the structure below is completely taken out. Right at that point. Let's turn all those off. Let's put in, let's look at North Tower. Okay, let's see where we got. Let's open that one. So there's North Tower. Let's add another image. Hello, Will. How you doing, mate? number 2, so let's go a few images in. Just when the collapse is going to happen, so let's see. Put that one below. And put me on top. Now, North Tower, once again, we have a situation here. Because if we look at this image, now this is supposed to be a vernage collapse. Bazant et al. Put out this paperwork. And on the second day they had this report out, and I disputed it right away on the second day because I said the top part of the building disintegrated before it could collapse the bottom part. And what do we have here? Let's put a line across the bottom. Let's put a marker. See if we can do this. Put that on top. Yeah, Will, take it care. You don't want to do anything silly while driving. Let's put a nice base line across here. Let's make it red. And observe what's going on here. Apply some birds to this. Yeah, we can yeah, we can apply some birds to this. No problem. Yeah, okay, let me apply some let me add some birds in here then. Let's see if we can find some bloody birds. There we go. I'm sure we can. Do you want a bald eagle or do you want ravens? Maybe a pissing dog. But you said birds. I think we can find birds. There we go. Okay. There, we got birds. Well, guess what? We have CGI birds on 9/11. Here we can progress through the collapse now. Let's add another image. Here, bring in this one. Yeah, bloody crows. I mean, can you believe it? Just swat them away. Swat them away. Okay, so let's go. No worries, we can get rid of them. So right now we see this complete top of this building disintegrating, not causing any problem on the lower structure at this point. Yet the core has been removed because of the antenna was mounted to the hat trusses. So therefore the hat trusses are already giving away, which were mounted to the core. So the core of the building at this point is being removed. So let's progress through the collapse a touch further. go to about this point. Down. That structure at that red line is still intact at this point. You can see this corner here. Let's put a marker on that corner. Let's go red line. Go from here. Okay, let's grab another one. Let's progress a little further. Open that one. I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, that whole top is almost disintegrated, and the structure is still intact just below the fires. And it's right at this point that that structure starts to be removed. So let's add image. We're going to progress through the collapse a little bit further, just where I could see the edge. So that's that one. You can still see the edge. You can still just see the corner edge. And the building's definitely suffering a fatal lower structure loss right here. This is when the lower structure is taken out. That is not a Vernage type collapse. There's not enough structure on top to take out the lower. Well, 90% of the building actually, because it was 20 floors. It was on 98th, so that's 14 floors. So that's 30 floors, that's 20 less, well less than 25%, about 20, just about 20%. add a little further progress. See, that's where I could just see it, and this is when everything disappears on the structure. And this is all happened within 2 seconds. This is within 2 seconds. Because that's all the footage that I extrapolated out was 2 seconds worth of footage. Let's move that one down. You can see how it explodes right here. Let's add in. Do we have one? No. I don't know what this is. We'll find out. That's the crows. Cool. So remove that. Don't want the crows again. So this building went from that to that. In almost a second. That is less than a second of video. And this is the first fire, which meant that was only, what, 48 minutes of fire. Because the south tower was, well, second fire. First one. First fire was 48 minutes, so this one was 102 minutes, wasn't it? 102 minutes, I think. Possible? I don't think so. Not unless not unless all that structure below the red line was removed. And this is the south tower coming down. It's got angular momentum, and then it loses it right there. All angular momentum, and then it loses it. is lost at that point. And you cannot lose the angular momentum unless all the structure below is starting to be taken away. And I'm just doing this 9/11 because I did a lot of research on 9/11, and I just don't think it should be forgotten amongst all the other things that we're doing. That just shows it all. So when you break it down, yeah, people need to be held accountable. I did a whole series on all the people. I'll see if I can get it up. Got a browser source here somewhere. I know what I'll do. Let's add it. See if we can get up some of my old research. I think it's under here somewhere. I don't know if this will work, but we'll give it a try. Turn all the images off. Let's add a browser source. See if that comes up. Okay. Direct. And that might not do it. It's not going to do it. So that's not going to do it. So let's try something else. And of course it's not going to let me do that. You tricky bugger. So let's try window capture. See if that works it. Oh, here's the guy. Put the chat on top. These are the people who are accountable. And I did this back in 2010. Israel Harrell, spy master of the Israel Intelligence Service. Or what is now known as ISIS, if you think about it. But this guy down here, Lowry, there's Lowry of course, you know, Westfield. Remember there was that attack in Nairobi at one of his shopping centers? And then we have Lauder, Estee Lauder Corporation, of course. You know, he backed up. He was the guy who basically sold the WTC Center to Silverstein as he worked on the Port Authority. And of course, Kroll Enterprises, who ran, well, many things, all the security for 9/11. And J.M. Hauer, he's a wonderful man who was an evil bugger, who was public health and in charge of anthrax and all that. Guess what happened when they released the anthrax in the letters after 9/11, of course. Guess who handled it? Now this guy, Hauer, hey you sheeps, how you doing? I don't know what's going on with the chat there, but it's supposed to be on top. So this guy, who discovers 11 days later the body, one of the only 12 intact bodies on 9/11, John O'Neill, who happened to have been sacked from the FBI for investigating none other than Al-Qaeda and ISIS. And his first day on the job working for Kroll Enterprises as a security head, he gets killed, but his body is found 11 days later by this guy, Hauer. So then we go down to ICTS, who is airport security, who was just recently sold out as a private company that would handle all the operations where 2 flights happened to go over top of. And this guy, Chertoff, we all know the wonderful Mr. Chertoff, who was, what is he? Homeland Security Department for Homeland Security. Formerly served as United States Circuit Judge for the Third Circuit Court of Appeals. He was the one who released, guess what? The Dancing Israelis. Now, these guy, who's associated with Osama Saeed's and founded PTEC, was the company who ran a back door into NORAD. And this is the fella who set up John O'Neill. He set him up. And here's the money guy, Dov Sakim. Yes, he's the one who filtered off all those trillions of dollars. And he also ran, guess what? Remote airplane control technology. And what was he? He was a secretary, I believe, of Treasury. 3.2 trillion went missing from Pentagon offices following Doug Sakim and Pentagon trillions to 9/11 in Israel, which you should read in full. And of course, he went off to Booz Allen. These guys are all connected. And this is the neocons. For American foreign defense policies, that drift conservatives, criticism, blah blah blah. This is where they were saying that they needed a new Pearl Harbor. So if this is a false flag, they're referencing Pearl Harbor, which, guess what? False flag. Here it is. A new Pearl Harbor. PNAC says that was what was needed for America to dominate much of humanity and the world's resources. And they got it. And then, you know, Paul Wolfowitz, he was there, and he was the head of the World Bank. Aren't these all nice people? Elliot Abrams, he is another suspect, but nobody's looking at him. As I've asked people, we could solve this crime together, but people tend not to listen. And then, of course, what was Rumsfeld doing on 9/11? He deserted his post, he disappeared, the country was under attack. Where was the guy who controls America's defense? Out of touch, a senior White House official. Good old Rumsfeld. Christians and, guess what? Christians and Catholics for Israel. What is going on here? Gary Bauer. Guess what? Jesuit. Now, Gary Bauer, interesting man, was one of the people who said that the plane crashed in. He happened to be on the motorway heading past the Pentagon when the plane went into the Pentagon. He was a witness. He just happened to be a witness for the plane. There, oh, there it is right here. Bauer witnessed the attack on September 11, and he was front page and center. And these are all the people I put into the control of what went on 9/11. But does anybody do anything about it? Not one thing. These people should be punished completely. And Vin Weber, former 6-term congressman, Minnesota agricultural. Vin Weber, trustee of co-chair of Aspen Institute's Domestic Strategic Group, national political manager, and yeah, this is what I was saying. Now think about this next bit. Since when does any religious group need to be managed by outsiders? My point being, why does one group need to be managed more than another? Say Christians, Catholics, Jews, Buddhists, Krishnas, Baha'i, and we could go on and on. But since leadership group on U.S. Muslim engagement. And that was done before 9/11. This is all a setup to promote hate, and people are following it. William Bennett, yeah. And now, this is the Bush family. Now, the pilots went and trained at this very airport, while the so-called 19 hijackers went did this, well, with Discover Air. and this is with Jeb Bush with the people of Discover Air right here. There's Jeb with Discover Air people, and you know that plane was seized with 30 pounds of heroin aboard. Now I'm going to go to some mapping I did. Where is it? Richard Pearl. Richard Pearl. This is the orchestrator. If we just let our vision of the world go forth and we embrace it entirely and we don't try to piece together clever diplomacy, but just wage a total war, our children will sing great songs about us for years from now. Richard Pearl in John Pilger, 2 years ago, a project set up by men who now surround George W. Bush, said that America needed was a new Pearl Harbor. Its published aims have alarmingly come true. This guy, he should be taken and he should be charged. Now this is some political mapping I've done. I don't know if I can make this bigger. Let's see. Yeah, you won't be able to see all that, which is a shame. Which is a shame, because these are all the corporations, and these are the ones that this is a whole listing I made, and it brought all the people together. It shows all the connections between Halliburton and between the Council on Foreign Relations. And these are the 3 head players that set up the whole thing on 9/11. Cheney being one of them, Richard Pearl, and Rumsfeld. And also the one person people just don't mention, and that's Henry Kissinger. And this is part of the PNAT group, and the PNAT group are the ones who set everything up and staged it all. And they set it up through the Jewish Institute for National Security, right here. This is how they set it all up, through these people. And this is what it is mostly about, because this is what they controlled. They went in to control these pipelines going into Israel. Bases are set up here, here, here. Amazing. So, lest we forget, and remember, these things take years of planning. And in my personal opinion, the next one is a dirty bomb on a ship in a harbor. So beware of that. That's the one that they're going to use to start WW3. And of course, Prime Minister of Israel, and the first thing he did, within half an hour, blamed ISIS. Now, Mossad used to be the Israeli intelligence services, which was ISIS. And if you wonder why Israel does not get attacked by ISIS, and if you wonder why Saudi Arabia does not get attacked by ISIS, it's because they're funded by them. Yeah, I spent a lot of time putting all this together, mate. I spent a lot of time. I got called crazy. Got called everything under the sun. Got hated. But people aren't loved for trying to get the truth out there, are they? Yeah, you found his body, you bastard. You're wrong. Well, what he just said there is completely wrong because, as I showed earlier in my report there, John O'Neill was actually investigating ISIS properly, and he was one of the lead intelligence officers in the whole thing. He was, he had most information on Osman than, that's it. He knew more about Tim Osman than anybody else. And Osama bin Laden being the same, one and the same. Isn't it ironic that he happened to be? Isn't it ironic that he got hired by you guys the day before? And isn't it ironic that he started on the 10th and by the 11th he was dead? And 11 days later you found him in a stairwell. We know who killed John O'Neill. You're looking at the man right now. Okay, enough on him. And as we have found out before, there are hijackers that are still alive. So and we go back to Dove. And then I went into the history of the Rothschilds, of course, because the Rothschilds have a very large place to play in this. And if you ask me, the UK is the new Babylon. But if anybody wants to go through and read all this, it's on a site called abovetopsecret.com. It's a great place to comment and to let people know. As somebody asked me, I am puzzled that a documentary with so well-researched hard facts has gained so little attention. I've wondered that myself. And usually on this particular site, your threads get completely rated, and for some reason my thread didn't get related. It just didn't get rated, which is very but anyways, join all the dots and you'll find out how it all is. And that's my work on 9/11. Okay, that's going to be it for tonight. I'll put together some sort of much better comprehensive work on 9/11 because I believe that should work. We'll see. Yeah, that takes you right to it. Yes, I recommend signing up on their coys. It's a good platform for discussions. And I'm not sure, but probably there's a Flat Earth discussion forum on there, I'm sure. Let's see if I can do a search on that. There we go. Let's see what they have on Flat Earth on there. There should be. Oh, look at that. Lots on here on Flat Earth. And I haven't looked at it. And I'm sure there are going to be viewpoints from both sides, and you will get your trolls hanging out in here too. I'm going to have to go through and do some reads. Yeah, same here. I'm going to be busy too. It looked like some interesting stuff here. I haven't actually looked at Flat Earth on that one. Where are you at, Coys? Ah, Dublin. Such a lovely place. I like Dublin myself. It's very cosmopolitan now, isn't it? European. Lots of coffee shops going along the river. Or canal coming through. And whereabouts are you? I guess I've only been really to the touristy places in Dublin. I spent quite a bit of time in Waterford. Land of the Crystal. Well, you'll have to come over to England some point, guys. Sit down and have a drink. But I'm heading off to Canada, I think, next month, if all goes well. So you'll have to come over in it quickly. Yeah, well, didn't you guys go through a housing boom rush and flood the market with overpriced homes? Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm going for good. I'm gonna go for, I think, at least a winter, and then I might go to Africa. I don't want to go back. I've lived in the UK for 14 years, but there's been some immigration issues that I have to deal with, so I have to go, but just not sure if I'm going to come back. Okay, well, I'm going to sign off for tonight. It's 2:09. I didn't realize it was so late. And I'm going to have to get some sleep and do set up tomorrow for the sun tracking and see what we can do. So you take care, guys, and no worries, guys. Always a pleasure to talk to you. Take care, buddy.